I've listened to this debate. I've also listened to my two dear friends from Louisiana speak about the disaster recovery. And I support disaster recovery for that. But I would just point out that on the proposal of the Republican leader, there would be no funds in the Treasury to pay for disaster recovery or for writing a check to Israel for Iron Dome because it doesn't raise the debt limit. And the substitute offered by my friend, and he is my dear friend, the Vice Chairman of the Appropriations Committee, Senator Shelby, does not solve the problem in front of us. It doesn't address the looming debt crisis facing our nation. It sort of ignores that that exists. Now, perhaps my colleagues on the other side of the aisle want to wash their hands of this. They can't. Much of that debt was incurred under a Republican president and under a Republican-controlled Senate, and debt racked up by irresponsible tax cuts championed by the Republican Party for the wealthiest of Americans, and yet debt also incurred in a bipartisan fashion to deal with multiple crises that face the nation. Disaster assistance in the wake of hurricanes and wildfires that keep getting worse every year because we don't combat climate change. COVID relief to keep this country from careening headfirst into economic disaster in the wake of a worldwide pandemic. Historic levels of support and investment in our nation's military and our men and women in uniform. And to try to put this all at the feet of President Biden's Build Back Better agenda, an unpassed reconciliation bill that's not the law, hasn't been passed. That's ridiculous. We're talking about debt we already incurred, not spending in the future. And as my Republican colleagues know, we expect to fully pay for those investments. They may not like how we're going to offset the spending, but that's what the legislative process is for, to debate them. At least we're willing to pay for the bills we incur, which is more than could be said for the Republicans when they pushed through a massive tax cut for the wealthy that was not paid for. So let's stop this political brinksmanship. Let's secure the full faith and credit of the United States. Let's pass an increase to the debt limit. To do otherwise puts our country and our economy at risk. The substitute also scales back to the assistance provided to Afghan refugees that was included in the House-passed bill. I was pleased we reached bipartisan and bicameral agreement of $6.3 billion in the House-passed bill for much-needed assistance for the brave Afghans who supported our mission to 2 decades of war. It's our duty, it's our obligation to support them. But the substitute bill they're seeking to pass would shorten the length of time that we provide assistance to thousands of Afghan women and men who fled to the U.S. to escape the wrath of the Taliban. Food, medical care, housing, basic things they need. The bill also eliminates their right to obtain a real ID-compliant U.S. driver's license, and yet we want them to go out and seek jobs. How are they going to do that if they can't drive? It shouldn't even be a debate. I can give a dozen more reasons, but I know people are waiting to vote, so I object.